If you have curly hair, make sure that you do not make these mistakes when you're styling it. First of all, my name is Justin Hickox. Thanks for hanging out. I've been a professional hairstylist for 30 years and a salon owner for 20. And in this series, I walk through my subscribers who send in videos of themselves styling their hair. And I watch the video and hopefully try to give them some insight to make their results better. And in the process, also make your results better. You learn from them. Learn from their potential mistakes. Potential mistakes? That doesn't sound good. I feel like I'm being a jerk on that. You know what I mean? So, with that said, let me introduce you to Janet.
Hi, my name is Janet. My hair is cut in like a modern shag. It's washed, conditioned, and it's got some leave-in in it. And my biggest issue with my hair is frizz. I live in a very humid climate. It's hard to get a nice curly look without all that excess frizz. But I think I've kind of figured it out. So here goes.
Janet is going for it. I like it. I like you already. I like that you'll send in a video. Basically, here's my struggles, but I got this. Watch me. I love it. So far, the struggle here is frizz, but the style is a shag. Okay, so we've already applied some leave-in conditioner.
Since I've gotten older, I use this, the Moroccan oil root lifter.
So she's applying this to create volume and some control in her hair, and that can work really well. Now, what I already like is that she's using a good amount of this. People actually, more often than not, use too little product, and what you end up getting is some of the texture of having product in your hair, but you don't get most of the benefits. But I find when you actually use a little bit more, of course there's limits and it depends on the product, but you'll actually find that you start to get more of the benefits, but you don't really increase the problems that much more. So you're getting the pros, but you're not actually adding to the cons. She's using a lot and she's working it through all of her hair, roots to ends. So solid job, Janet. You're killing it.
I've also been a stylist 30 plus years.
Janet, you're a stylist? What do you need me for? Okay, actually, let me back up for a second. For a stylist to send me, another stylist, a video of them doing their hair to see if there's anything that they could potentially improve on or that I could help them with in any way, shape, or form. Thank you very much for the trust. I sincerely appreciate that. A lot of stylists would not do that. Maybe there very much is some stuff I can learn here. Let's find out.
Really work that into the roots.
This is why she uses that much product, because she's a stylist. You know that's why you're using that much product.
For the rest of the hair, I'm gonna re-wet just a little bit.
So when it was up in a bun earlier, then it probably got dried a little bit on some areas, which is smart. So she's getting some of that moisture back in, so it's an even amount of moisture all throughout. It's gonna help the product distribute better, but it's also going to help make sure that everything kind of dries at the same pace so she can get better result.
I'm gonna use my gel. I just started using this one, this Curl Talk, Not Your Mother's, and I really like it.
Full disclosure, I have not used that product. I will tell you what's gonna happen with it before she even gets started here. And it's simply because it's a gel versus the foam that she was originally using. Gels, 99% of the time, they typically have more control, usually feel a little bit stiffer. They're a little bit more aggressive. And typically speaking, sprays like she was using earlier or mousses, things like that have a tendency to be a little bit softer in the hair. They have a little bit less control. The combination of both of these is likely something that works really well for Janet, or she's gotten good results with. However, if you're similar hair or you're styling a shag, you've got similar hair to Janet's, I don't think you would need to use both of these. I think we could get away with one or the other depending on what you're looking for. Or there's other gels or mousses that could be a better fit for you. So I wouldn't focus so much specifically on the products right now, and more we need to focus on the application. Again, I've not watched this video yet. I can almost promise you that having product from roots all the way through ends evenly is going to be absolutely critical to getting everything to have an even look and to look good as a whole. We'll see if I'm right, and I'll tell you if I'm wrong, but let's find out.
Curly hair tends to dry differently each time you do it. Has a mind of its own.
Thank you. I just did a video all about curly hair mistakes. If you haven't seen that, you can check that out right here. I literally said that as a point in the video for one specific thing. I share a lot of other stuff too. Go check that out after you're done watching this. But Janet, I could not agree with you more.
So I'm hoping today that it's going to cooperate with me.
So she's really working this part.
A bit of the squishy sound.
Thank you. Oh my gosh, that is such a good point. I'm so glad you brought that up. What she just said is absolute gold. Usually speaking, if you've got product in your hair and you go like this and you can hear this kind of like squishy sound, it typically means that you have enough product in it. But if you're going like this and you don't hear anything, that might be an indicator that you actually don't have enough product, or you don't have enough product in that one area. Good little test for you, right? Try this. Put product in one side of your hair until you get that squishy sound. And then on this side, you can even use a little bit of product, but just don't use enough to get that sound. And then dry your hair, but see if this side doesn't actually end up with a little bit more control and potentially less frizz than this side. Again, this is be specific to what product you use, but as a whole, just try it. Oh, hey, by the way, if you're getting any value out of this, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Actually, honestly, if you really like this content, do me a big favor and comment below and let me know. I want to know if this is the kind of content that you want to see and if I should make more. Oh, and if you want to be considered to be a model on one of these videos, there's a link in the description as well as the pinned comment. Check it out there. We're definitely not trying to get a fully curly look here. If we're going for like real curls, then we would be using a diffuser. We would not want to use a modifier like this because it's just going to blow the hair around too much and we're going to get a lot more frizz out of it. We'll see if I'm right and I'll tell you if I'm wrong, but let's find out.
Switch to the diffuser.
Hold on, wait a minute. We just moved over to diffuser. So let me back this up then. So I was a little bit somewhat mistaken from the very beginning. A couple things going on here that we need to clarify. The goal with this is then to create more curl. Here's my take on this so far. My question would be why you would not just use a diffuser from the very beginning. The point of a diffuser, and this is rather if you're drying your hair into a shag, if you're drying it in curly, or however you're using it. The only purpose of the diffuser is to diffuse dry the amount of air pressure that's hitting a particular amount of hair at one time, which will minimize the manipulation and therefore minimize the frizz. That's it. The way she's using the diffuser right now is gonna do the best job that it can of enhancing curl in hair. There's those little cone spikes that come up in the middle of the diffuser that hair wraps around that will help to kind of encourage some of that curl, right? That's why you do something like this. You cup the hair in that diffuser for that purpose. And I could be off on this, Janet, so correct me if I'm wrong, but it doesn't look like it's got ringlet curl. It looks like you're actually encouraging more curl in your hair than your hair might naturally have. I could be off, but it seems like that, in which case if that's your goal, then again, we would want to use the diffuser from the very beginning because it's only going to help that process. And so if, Janet, your concern is frizz, period, it's a legitimate frizz because of, that's created by manipulation, that process of doing that is clearly going to cause more manipulation, therefore more frizz. Using a diffuser from the very beginning is just going to minimize that.
Get that cool shot.
Okay, I like that. She's using a cool shot, and the reason she does that is so that she can lock in any of the bend or any of the shape that she's got in there right now. Also, the other potential benefit is that once you cool your hair down, you can tell if it's actually dry. Sometimes your hair will feel warm and therefore feel dry, but in reality, as it cools down, you realize it's still damp. And if you go in to scrunch up your hair or break it up, you're gonna encourage some of that texture and frizz back into it. It needs to be totally dry, not just warm and wet.
I kind of rig the bangs back and forth because I have pallets in the front.
Okay, that's really smart. If you style your hair with the cowlick to the right, you're not gonna be able to get that hair to go and lay down in your face. It's just gonna go to the right. And in fact, many times, the roots will actually kind of lay a little bit flatter and you'll get a little bit of volume and then curl around, right? It's kind of harder to manage. If your cowlick's going this way and you take that hair and you actually bring it the other direction and you pull it straight out and you round brush it and you get some bend, it'll still come off to this side. You'll just be able to pull some pieces down. If you want some softness, you'll get a lot more control out of it. So the technique that she's using, the principle, absolutely strong.
And at first, it looks absolutely crazy.
This is a thing when you're drying hair like this, especially when you're using a diffuser, if you gotta use enough product. When it gets dry, it should look a little bit crazy until you go back in and break it all up. That's kind of a good indication that it's doing well when it gets dry, that you used enough product and it's gonna turn out reasonably well. It's because if you look at hers, it's all clumped together, right? Now, when I go back through and I scrunch that up and I break it up, a good product will break up and it'll still have softness, so it won't always have to look like a big wet, look. If it's starting to look perfectly dry, that's where you know it's gonna be a lot harder to get you any control out of it or control the frizz because there's nothing in there to control it. Did that make sense? Watch and see what happens with her hair.
Well, I'm making a video. I'll be right up.
Welcome to my life, Janet.
Okay, not too bad. What I do is I leave the cast in.
This is a really good point too. So you might have heard her just say, I leave the cast in. What she's referring to is that clumpy texture, the stiff, wet look that you get. But the benefit to leaving it in for that long, she's allowing it to dry completely. When your hair gets dry like this, it's hard to tell if it's actually dry. The interior of each little section could still be a little bit damp. The exterior just feels like, oh, this is dry, we're golden. So by her letting it go as long as she can, it's all she's really doing is she's allowing it to dry completely so that when she does go in to actually break this cast up, it's not going to end up adding more frizz. It'll actually just help her to get that same clump, but end up with a much softer overall look. To go in and break up all the roots, you're gonna form your hand like a claw, so it looks ridiculous.
Nothing can stop the claw!
The point is you're gonna go in like this, you're gonna break it up like that. You can get pretty aggressive. So you can do it like this, and then you're gonna come back out. So you're not combing through the mitch after the ends with it. What you're not gonna do is do this and just get all crazy with it. Then the mitch after the ends, all you're gonna do is you're gonna scrunch it up. What that's gonna do is it's gonna break the product up, break the cast up, and it's gonna allow it to look a lot softer. It's gonna look 3 or 4 times as dense.
I use a dry shampoo with a brunette coloring in it. And anywhere it looks thin or like I have holes, I get in there.
The tip that she's giving you right now with dry shampoo that's colored, that can work really well. I'm a big fan of that idea simply for the fact that most dry shampoos look white and they leave that little bit of a white cast and people can't stand that. So having one that's actually geared towards the color of your hair is gonna help address that. For me, if I'm trying to make something look dense, the roots, what you're seeing in your scalp, that can be done by using this dry shampoo, or I have my absolute favorite, which is hair fibers. I talk about them all the time. I use them. They are incredible at making hair look dense at the root. I promise you, they are probably the best thing I've ever found. I'll link them in the description as well. They come in all sorts of different colors. It's wildly amazing. I mean, yeah, they're incredible. Enough about that. Yeah, you can see right there how her hair looks like it's all clumped together and kind of wet. And if she did this a lot after it was totally dry and broke that up, it would not look as sparse as it does now. It's gonna look a lot denser.
I'm happy with the shape too, the way it came out today. It cooperated with me. La, la, la.
I like you, Janet. You're fun. Well, again, Janet, thank you so much for sending that in. I sincerely appreciate that. And I appreciate the trust and the humility coming as a stylist, speaking to another stylist. So thank you. Let me just recap, okay? So the process would basically look like, before you get out, you get all the tangles out, you lightly towel blot it, you immediately use a heat protectant or something to protect the heat. You could use a leave-in conditioner, something, that's light. You just don't want something too heavy. And I have products linked in the description as well as a shopping that you can see right here. Then you would want to use a gel or a mousse. If you want a softer overall finish, then a mousse or a spray mousse is going to work well. If you want more control and a little bit, something that might look a little bit on the wet side when you're done, even after you break up that cast, then a gel is going to be more your lane. Either way, you would apply that from roots to ends on every single hair on your head. It is very important that it gets equal distribution. If your hair is dry at all before you apply it, you do exactly what Janet did and you dampen it down to make sure that it's equally moist before you apply any sort of products. You apply the product, you work it through. I would work it through with my hands. I wouldn't comb through it at that point unless you're trying to minimize some of that curl. So if you're trying to pull some of your natural curl out and you want it to be just a little bit on the wavier side, then yes, combing through it's gonna work well for you. But if you wanna maximize some of the wave that you have or the curl, maybe your hair is much straighter and you're trying to get some texture in it, then you don't want to comb through it. You actually want to scrunch in that product, start scrunching in that shape right out of the get-go. Then you're going to use a diffuser and you're going to put the diffuser on your blow dryer and go straight from the get-go, right like that. Tilting your head off, just like Janet did. All of that stuff works great. The only difference is instead of you touching with your hands, you're going to start using that diffuser right out of the get-go. If it looks like wet and kind of like piecey and you're kind of like, this looks crazy, this doesn't make sense, you're okay. So side note you need to know about shags. So one of the best parts about them is they're supposed to look messy, okay? The whole point of a shag is to be like an organized mess. So don't be as concerned with the frizz aspect of these. Like, they're kind of meant to have a little bit. So don't overly stress about it. That's the beauty of a shag. Like, use them for what their benefits are. It's a shag. Shag it out. No, none of that, because I was 3. Still old, almost 50. I'm at 49 today, actually. Now, after you let that cool down and you make sure that that's completely dry, you basically let that set for a little while. Then you can go in and you can break it up. When you go in to break it up, I like to put a little bit of oil in my hand to minimize any potential of there being any extra texture from me breaking it up. So you put a little bit of that in your hands, work that through like this, and then you just start scrunching it up. So I start scrunching up the back, the bottom. You tilt your head upside down completely, scrunch up the front. You're not trying to scrunch curl into your hair. You're trying to get rid of the texture that you're seeing, that wet look, and break all that down and make that all of a sudden come forward and be soft again. You think about it like that. So I have an oil that's linked in the description below. It's from Way. It's great because it's not too heavy. Then at the roots, you're gonna form your hand like a claw, because that's what we do here.
A claw!
And you're gonna just go in at the roots and go like this and mess it up. And that's just gonna break those roots up a little bit. And then you're gonna have the overall densest look that you're gonna get out of that shape. That's the way that I would personally approach it. If you're still seeing scalp through your hair at that point, that's when you move over to, you could use the dry shampoo like Janet uses that's got a little bit of color to it. That's an option. Or you can use hair fibers if you want something that doesn't feel like a shampoo, doesn't really feel like there's anything in your hair, it just hides the scalp. That's when I go to fibers. All of that stuff will be linked in the description or in the shopping right below, right down here. But otherwise, again, Janet, thank you so much for hanging out and sharing that with us. I sincerely, again, appreciate that. And if you liked this, you're gonna love this. So head over there and I'll see you over there. Thanks for hanging out. Catch you there. Bye. I swear to God, ooh, brother, I'm flying to Oklahoma and I'm gonna throw something at your house and it's gonna be eggs. All the way to egg your house because I'm 12.